The territory of modern Ukraine has been inhabited for millennia, with archaeological evidence showing human presence dating back to the Paleolithic era. The fertile black soil of the Ukrainian steppes attracted various nomadic tribes and early agricultural communities. The Scythians, an Iranian nomadic people, dominated the region from the 7th to 3rd centuries BCE, establishing a powerful kingdom centered around the Black Sea coast. Greek colonies flourished along the coastline, including Chersonesos near modern Sevastopol. The region later saw waves of migration by Goths, Huns, Avars, and other tribes during the Great Migration period. Slavic tribes began settling in the area around the 6th century CE, gradually establishing agricultural communities and early fortified settlements that would become the foundation of later Ukrainian cities. The most significant early period in Ukrainian history began with the establishment of Kievan Rus in the 9th century. According to the primary chronicle, the Varangian prince Oleg captured Kyiv in 882, making it the capital of a vast early medieval state. Under rulers like Vladimir I and Yaroslav the Wise, Kievan Rus became one of the largest and most powerful states in Europe. The adoption of Christianity in 988 under Vladimir I marked a crucial turning point, establishing Orthodox Christianity as the dominant religion and creating lasting cultural ties with Byzantium. Kyiv became known as the mother of Rus cities and served as a major trade center connecting Scandinavia with Constantinople along the famous route from the Varangians to the Greeks. The state reached its zenith under Yaroslav the Wise, who established the first written legal code, built the magnificent St. Sophia Cathedral in Kyiv, and fostered learning and culture. However, after his death, the realm gradually fragmented into competing principalities, weakening its ability to resist external threats. The Mongol invasion of 1237 to 1240 devastated the region, with Kyiv falling in 1240 after fierce resistance. Many cities were destroyed, and the population declined significantly. The Golden Horde established dominance over most Ukrainian territories, imposing tribute and fundamentally altering the political landscape. As Mongol power waned in the 14th century, Ukrainian lands were gradually incorporated into the expanding Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland. The Lithuanian period was relatively tolerant, allowing local customs and Orthodox Christianity to persist. However, the union of Kruo and subsequent Polish influence brought increasing Catholicization pressure and the spread of Polish cultural and legal systems. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, formed in 1569, intensified Polish colonization of Ukrainian territories. Polish nobles received vast estates, Ukrainian peasants were unserved, and attempts were made to convert the Orthodox population to Catholicism or Greek Catholicism through the Union of Brest. The harsh conditions under Polish rule led to the emergence of the Cossacks, semi-autonomous warrior farmers who established the Zaporizhian Sich as their stronghold. The Cossacks developed a unique democratic society based on military brotherhood and Orthodox Christianity, becoming the embodiment of Ukrainian resistance to foreign domination. The most pivotal moment came with Bohdan Khmelnytsky's uprising in 1648. As hetman of the Zaporizhian Cossacks, Khmelnytsky led a massive rebellion against Polish rule, achieving stunning military victories and establishing the Cossack Hetmanate as a de facto independent state. The uprising also tragically involved extensive violence against Jewish communities, creating lasting trauma. However, facing continued Polish pressure and internal divisions, Khmelnytsky signed the Treaty of Pereyaslav with Muscovy, placing the Cossack state under the protection of the Russian Tsar. This decision would have profound long-term consequences for Ukrainian independence. The period following Pereyaslav saw the gradual erosion of Cossack autonomy as Russian rulers systematically dismantled Ukrainian self-governance. The Hetmanate maintained some independence under leaders like Ivan Mazepa, who famously allied with Swedish King Charles XII against Peter I during the Great Northern War. However, their defeat at the Battle of Poltava marked the beginning of the end for Cossack autonomy. Catherine II abolished the Zaporizhian Sich in 1775 and the Hetmanate in 1781, incorporating Ukrainian territories directly into the Russian Empire. Russian colonization intensified, with restrictions placed on Ukrainian language and culture. The policy of Russification aimed to eliminate Ukrainian distinctiveness and integrate the region fully into Russian imperial culture. The 19th century witnessed the emergence of Ukrainian national consciousness despite Russian repression. Writers like Taras Shevchenko, Ivan Franko, and Lesya Ukrainka played crucial roles in developing Ukrainian literature and national identity. Secret societies like the Brotherhood of Saint Cyril and Methodius promoted Ukrainian independence ideas, though they faced severe persecution. The collapse of the Russian Empire in 1917 provided Ukrainians with an unprecedented opportunity for independence. The Ukrainian People's Republic was declared in 1917, followed by several competing governments during the chaotic revolutionary period. However, the new state faced enormous challenges: World War I destruction, civil war, foreign intervention, and internal political divisions. Various Ukrainian governments struggled for control, including the Ukrainian People's Republic under Simon Petliura, the West Ukrainian People's Republic, and briefly, the Ukrainian state under Pavlo Skoropadsky. The period from 1917 to 1921 saw devastating warfare, pogroms against Jewish populations, and ultimately, the partition of Ukrainian territories between the Soviet Union, Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Romania. The establishment of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic in 1922 brought Ukrainian territories under communist rule. While the 1920s policy of Ukrainization promoted Ukrainian language and culture, this was brutally reversed under Stalin. The forced collectivization of agriculture led to the Holodomor, a man-made famine that killed millions of Ukrainians and constituted genocide against the Ukrainian people. World War II brought new horrors as Nazi Germany occupied most of Ukraine from 1941, 1944. The Holocaust devastated Jewish communities, while Nazi policies aimed at enslaving or exterminating Slavic populations. Simultaneously, Ukrainian nationalist movements, including the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists and Ukrainian Insurgent Army, fought both Soviet and German forces, seeking independence but also engaging in ethnic violence against Poles and Jews. Post-war reconstruction under Soviet rule transformed Ukraine into an industrial powerhouse, but at the cost of continued cultural suppression and environmental degradation. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986 became a symbol of Soviet system failures and contributed to growing Ukrainian dissatisfaction with Moscow's rule. Ukraine declared independence on August 24, 1991, following the failed Soviet coup attempt. The decision was overwhelmingly confirmed by referendum in December 1991, with over 90% of citizens supporting independence. Leonid Kravchuk became the first president of independent Ukraine. The early years of independence were marked by severe economic challenges as Ukraine transitioned from a planned to a market economy. Hyperinflation, industrial decline, and political instability characterized the 1990s under Presidents Kravchuk and Leonid Kuchma. The Orange Revolution of 2004 marked a turning point in Ukrainian democracy. Mass protests against fraudulent presidential elections led to Viktor Yushchenko's victory over the Russia-backed Viktor Yanukovych, demonstrating Ukrainians' commitment to democratic values and European integration. However, political instability continued, with Yanukovych eventually winning the 2010 presidential election. His increasingly authoritarian rule and decision to suspend EU association negotiations triggered the Euromaidan protests in late 2013. The Revolution of Dignity forced Yanukovych to flee and brought a pro-European government to power. Russia's response to Ukraine's European choice was swift and aggressive. In February-March 2014, Russia annexed Crimea and supported separatist movements in eastern Ukraine, leading to the war in Donbass. Despite the Minsk agreements, the conflict resulted in over 14,000 deaths and displaced millions of people. The full-scale Russian invasion beginning February 24, 2022, marked the largest military conflict in Europe since World War II. Russia has stated goals of demilitarizing and denazifying. Ukraine masked broader imperial ambitions to destroy Ukrainian statehood and identity. The war has caused tens of thousands of casualties, displaced millions of Ukrainians, and caused massive destruction of civilian infrastructure. However, Ukraine's resistance has been remarkable, with President Volodymyr Zelensky becoming an international symbol of democratic courage. Ukrainian forces have successfully defended major cities like Kyiv and Kharkiv, while international support has provided crucial military and humanitarian aid. Throughout its history, Ukraine has developed a distinct cultural identity despite centuries of foreign domination. Ukrainian language, with its rich literary tradition, folk culture including traditional music and dance, distinctive architecture, and Orthodox Christianity have all contributed to a unique national character. The concept of Ukraine as the homeland of a distinct people, rather than merely Little Russia as Russian imperial ideology claimed, has deep historical roots but crystallized during the 19th and 20th centuries. Modern Ukrainian identity encompasses civic nationalism, democratic values, European orientation, and resistance to authoritarianism. Ukraine, as strategic location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, has shaped its economic and political development throughout history. The fertile black soil steppes, known as Chernozem, made Ukraine the breadbasket of various empires, from supplying grain to ancient Greek colonies to feeding the Soviet Union and modern Europe. The Dnieper River system provided crucial trade routes connecting the Baltic to the Black Sea, facilitating commerce and cultural exchange for over a millennium. Industrial development accelerated dramatically during the Soviet period, with Ukraine becoming a major center for steel production, heavy machinery, aerospace, and military industries. Cities like Dnipro, Zaporizhzhia, and Kryvyi Rih emerged as industrial powerhouses, while the Donbas region became synonymous with coal mining and metallurgy. This industrial heritage both strengthened Ukraine's economic potential and created vulnerabilities, as post-independence governments struggled to modernize Soviet-era enterprises. The post-2014 period has seen Ukraine's economy gradually diversify towards services and technology sectors, with a growing IT industry earning international recognition. Agricultural modernization has maintained Ukraine's position as a major global grain exporter, supplying food security to many countries, particularly in Africa and the Middle East. Ukrainian history is fundamentally a story of survival, resistance, and the persistent struggle for independence and self-determination. From the golden age of Kievan Rus through periods of foreign domination to modern independence, Ukrainians have maintained their distinct identity and democratic aspirations. The current war represents perhaps the greatest existential challenge in Ukrainian history, but it has also demonstrated the strength of Ukrainian national unity and the international community's support for Ukrainian sovereignty. As Ukraine continues its European integration and defends its independence, it builds upon centuries of struggle for freedom and democracy. The resilience shown throughout Ukrainian history, from Cossack resistance to Polish rule, survival of the Holodomor, and current resistance to Russian aggression, demonstrates the enduring strength of Ukrainian national identity and the Ukrainian people's commitment to their independence and democratic future.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.